I'll share my screen. All right. All right. Welcome in, everyone. So, for those of you that are watching the recording, we are going to talk about stress mitigation. I just called it take a chill pill. So, I know a lot of people are stressed up in here. I know stress is very, very real. And especially if you don't mitigate it or if you don't work on it consistently, it can definitely put you in a shitty place mentally, physically, emotionally, or even spiritually. So, we're going to give you some scientific and holistic ways to mitigate stress. So we're going to talk a little bit. And if you guys have questions, drop it in the chat at any point, please. Or I'll probably ask you questions and you guys can also answer in the chat. So please use it. Okay. So a very obvious answer and to this question, what is stress? So stress is feeling overwhelmed or unable to cope with the mental or external pressure. Stress is your body responding to perceived pressure, whether it's internal or external, right? Your body is going to respond in several different ways, and most of them are not the best. So when you notice stress is short-lived, the body adapts, right? For example, training, going to the gym, that is technically a stressor. It is a controlled stressor, but it is very short-lived, and that's why your body can adapt to training, right? You're not stressing for 24 hours a day. You're just stressing for, you're putting your body under a certain amount of stress for a little bit of the day, and your body adapts. It gets better, right? Builds muscle for it. When your stress is unresolved, the body pays, and so does the mind, unfortunately. People hit fatigue, people hit burnout all the time. So when you untreat stress, this is what happens. You get toxins that build up in your body. Stress can also create sickness and disease. It's been proven. And there's a couple types of stress we're going to talk about. Okay. There's acute stress, episodic acute, chronic. Oops, that was it. So those three. Let me go back. So acute, episodic acute, and chronic. I'm sure the first two don't sound very familiar, but chronic is pretty common. So let's talk about acute stress first. So just name a couple. Acute stress. It is what it sounds like. It's kind of like acute stress. It's intense and unpleasant reaction shortly after an overwhelming traumatic experience and lasts less than a month. So for example, let me give you an example in a little bit. If it's longer than a month, getting a diagnosis for potential PTSD is a really good idea because that can definitely lead to high stress. So an example, a car crash. It's pretty acute. If you get into an accident, you get damage to your body, whatever, your body's going to go through a little bit of stress, and you want to give it what it needs to recover. So the PTSD, when you might want to check if there's PTSD for a car crash is you might avoid driving or become excessively cautious on the road, right? Another acute stress is if there's a deadline at work or an upcoming exam or a presentation, right? If there's a deadline at work and you're under a lot of stress, that's what tends to happen. When it becomes PTSD is if you develop symptoms such as intense anxiety, intrusive thoughts about failing, and avoidance of studying or preparing for future exams or presentations, or even just putting off and procrastinating work, right? Chronically and being behind. An acute stress is getting stuck in traffic. When it can become PTSD is it can manifest into irritability, impatience, physical symptoms like muscle tensions or headaches when encountering traffic, or just driving in congested areas. So you just get really, really irritable in congested areas, which is honestly a lot of people in very populated cities. Another one is unexpected news, good news, bad news, whatever, mostly bad news, but PTSD will happen when it triggers symptoms like shock, denial, or difficulty processing the news. It can also lead to ongoing anxiety or depression related to the event. So if you're always thinking about the event or whatever's happening, that's when PTSD can happen for sure. And the last one is an argument with a partner. I'm sure most of y'all figured this. This is an acute stress for sure. It's short, it's unpleasant, and it doesn't last longer than a month. But it can become PTSD when there's persistent and negative thoughts about the relationship, or emotional numbness towards the partner, or even avoidance of discussing or resolving conflicts in the relationship, right? So you can put whatever label on it you want, but at the end of the day, it's some level of PTSD, right? PTSD is not just point blank, this is PTSD. You're not like going to war, right? That's different from wartime PTSD. That's, that's when you're seeing like death. That's completely different. That's not acute. That's a whole different level. There's a spectrum, obviously, to PTSD, but we won't go into that. Just so you know, this is what acute is. So, any questions here? Type them in the chat. Type here if you have any questions about, or if you have like, something that you're going through right now. If you want to ask if it's acute stress or not, you can type it in the chat, or you can come off mute, and I can help you. No one? Okay, moving on then. Oh no, Zach, were you
No,
gonna say?
I already know mine's acute, so.
Okay. Oh,
But,
that's fair.
yeah.
Got it. Cool. Yeah, we can. I mean, this might also. We'll go into this one. Episodic acute stress. So, episodic acute is a little bit different. So this is when someone gets frequent bouts of acute stress. So acute stress is more so from a single event, and that single event can technically cause PTSD. But if there's frequent bouts of the PTSD or frequent bouts of the acute stress, that's when it becomes episodic, right? It becomes more frequent. So these type of people often take on more responsibility than they can handle. They may seem like they're always in a rush, always running late, always disorganized. So some common traits for people that have episodic acute are they're always rushing, overcommitted, disorganized, busy but not effective, right? You're trying to be productive but not effective. So an example, an overloaded student, right? A student who signs up for multiple extracurricular activities. They volunteer, they take on heavy load for courses, and they have heavy bouts of acute stress, right? Some people can handle it, most people can't, but some people that overdo it, that's what happens for students. They may seem rushed, or they forget deadlines and appear disorganized in their studies and their personal life. So if you know anyone like that, that's probably what's happening. Or a busy parent, right? A parent who tries to juggle work, household responsibilities, or children's activities, leading to frequent episodic acute stress, right? Being a parent is a very, very stressful job, stressful role. So you always feel like you're in a hurry, or you're forgetting appointments, and you're feeling overwhelmed by their daily responsibilities. So that can definitely be episodic because there's a lot of things that go on, right? So I feel like most parents definitely go through this, and there's obviously reactions that happen where you end up looking like Brittany over here. So, and then it is the chronic procrastinator, someone who puts off tasks until the very last minute. Oof, that's me. Oh, you're the busy parent. That makes sense, Erica. I can see that. I can definitely see that. And that's why we're here. It's good. I'm glad you found it. Chronic procrastinator, someone who puts off tasks until the last minute, leading to frequent episodes of acute stress. This is kind of me with these slides. I try my best, and then I'm like, I gotta put something together in the last hour. So I put these together really fast. They appear to be rushed, trying to complete tasks at the 11th hour, and feeling overwhelmed by their procrastination habits, right? And usually procrastination can be a cause from feeling burnt out from other things, from a combination of other things, being a parent or being overloaded by other things. You don't have to be a student to be overloaded. Let's see. Hello, me. Nothing feels great. Ernesto. Bucket. I put the pro in procrastination. Everyone here's a procrastinator. Let's go. That's funny. Nothing puts fuel creativity better than panic. That's fair, bro. I feel you. Yeah. Honestly, there's some level of procrastination in everyone. Not everyone is always on time, always on point, but If a little bit of stress gets you going, if it's a healthy amount of stress, that's fine. But when it becomes chronic every single day or every single hour, that's when it's like, to what end, you know? So anyway, let's continue. And the perpetual overachiever. There's an individual who sets unrealistic goals and expectations for themselves, constantly striving for perfection. There's a lot of you in here like that. In all aspects of their life, resulting in frequent bouts of acute stress. This is the perfectionism mindset, the all or nothing mindset, the people that think I got to do it all or I'm not worthy type of mindset. So this person, they may always seem like they're in a rush, trying to accomplish too much in too little time, and feeling constantly overwhelmed by their self-imposed standards, right? Standards that no one gave them, they learned, and they just like, I got to keep these standards or I'm, a POS. So I'm gonna say everyone has to comment which one they are. If you can only choose one though. I'm the procrastinator. Actually, that's a liar. I'm the overachiever, honestly. I'm the overachiever. I don't like to think I'm a procrastinator. I'm pretty on time to most things. There's a couple things every now and then. Everyone type in the chat what they are, so I have an idea. And while you're doing that, I'm gonna take like 1 minute to get some water because I am thirsty. Okay. Christina's the overachiever. I can see that, Christina. I can see that, amiga. Buck is the procrastinator. I seem to thrive under a crunch. That's fair. I feel that, bro. That's probably why we've been trying to rush things for a minute, huh? Patty, the perpetual overachiever for sure. I see that. I see that for sure. Randall, the overachiever. Jeff is a procrastinator, semi-overachiever. Zach is overload. I see that, Zach, brother. I do. And John is a procrastinator and the overachiever. Got it. Yeah, this is good. This is good. I mean, you don't have to be the overloaded student. You can be overloaded in any other role. You can be an overloaded parent. You can be overloaded worker, overloaded friend, overloaded blah, blah, blah. So if anyone is like that, it is just a student is the closest thing that most people have been through, right? Busy parent and procrastinator. Got it. Yeah, Erica's for sure the busy parent and procrastinator. Cool. Glad you guys see that. Good awareness. Let's go. All right, let's continue. Chronic stress. I'm sure you have all heard of this one, okay? So here's what y'all don't know, though. Chronic stress is going to kill you. Literally. It's a silent killer. There's links to it, having a lot of links to heart attacks, panic attacks, anxiety attacks, whatever, and it's real, right? I've talked to a couple people where they live in a very highly stressful job, and that job just led to a couple heart attacks, and some people don't make it, some people do, but regardless, it's real. So consistent stress of overwhelm and pressure over a long period of time, right? If you don't give your body time to adapt to the stress, it's just the stress is up here and you're down here, and you're just going to get punched in the mouth constantly. So long-term exposure to pressure with no recovery, right? If you're not recovering from the stress, or if you're not giving yourself space to recover, then it's just, again, you're getting punched in the mouth constantly. So an example, financial stress. Someone experiencing ongoing financial difficulties such as debt, job loss, or instability leading to chronic stress. And they may feel constantly worried about money, unable to make ends meet, and stressed about their financial future. A lot of us have been into that. Every single person in here has been through that. There's not one of you that hasn't not. I've been through it. Everyone and their grandma has been through it. Okay. So I don't want you to isolate because of financial stress, but I want you to just be aware of it. Okay. Workplace stress. I'm sure everyone has been through this too. High pressure jobs with demanding deadlines and long hours and difficult bosses, and leading to chronic stress, right? Difficult bosses are the most annoying ones. And you may feel constantly overwhelmed by the workload or anxious about the deadlines or even just trapped in a stressful work environment, right? Talking to people. So, overtraining. So, we're going to go back to fitness. Someone who might be doing too much too quickly, right? This is the new year, new me person. The person around the new year that's like, I'm going to do 6 days a week and train every day and go for an hour and go as hard as I can and not eat very much. And I'm going to do fine. And then they burn out. So this can make you feel tired and sore all the time, and they might not see the results they want. So overtraining is also very real. And then dieting and restriction. Less food, not giving your body what it needs is technically a stressor. It is a stressor. If you're not giving your body what it needs, your body is in emergency mode all the time, right? There's controlled dieting, and then there's crash dieting, which is basically chronic stress. So sometimes people try to eat less food to lose weight, but this can make them feel hungry and worried about what they're eating all the time, right? And if that's you, then it can definitely lead to chronic stress. And they may feel constantly deprived, anxious about the food choices, and stressed about maintaining their diet in social situations. So if you're feeling constantly craving a lot of food, or you're trying to understand what food choices to make, then you're probably not eating enough. Unless it's something that I have you in, like you're an actual cut. So, yeah. And lack of patience and persistence is the last one. When you start exercising, you might see big changes in your body too quickly, but it's important to be patient and even keep trying when you don't see changes right away, right? So make sure that you have some patience and persistence going into the beginning. Otherwise, if you're not doing it for the long term, then you shouldn't be doing it at all. So anyway, has anyone experienced all of these or one of these? I'm sure everyone has experienced all of these. Or you can comment which one you're experiencing right now, the most prevalent one. For me, I would say lack of patience. Everyone's experiencing all of them. Okay, we're undergoing a lot. Okay, I was gonna just say choose one, but financial stress. Okay. I think Dustin is sleeping. Lack of patience and financial stress. That's fair. Cool. All right. For the sake of time, I'm just going to continue. We're going to have more questions in a little bit. Financial impatience. Everyone seems to be in the financial impatience. Cool. Cool. So this is why stress deteriorates the body. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to have low energy. You're going to have headaches. You're going to have an upset stomach all the time. Loose bowel movements. Constipation or nausea. I sound like one of those medication advertisements on the TV. You're gonna have chest pain. If you ever have mesothelioma, then you gotta call 81100. Chest pain, rapid heart rate without caffeine, tense muscles, insomnia. Do any of these? Comment one that you've experienced under high stress. What is the number one thing that happens to you when you're under high stress? For me, upset stomach for sure. I have upset stomach, headaches. I feel like women get so many headaches when they have high stress. Rapid heart rate, Buck. Okay. Low energy. Got it. Headache. Jeff gets headaches. Illnesses. Oh, Randy. Yeah. You get pneumonia and headaches. That's nuts. Okay. So notice, I'm glad you guys are aware of what happens when you're highly stressed. Insomnia and low energy. Got it. That's fair. So cool. This is good awareness that we're building here. Oh, and I put low immune system, so that was for Randy. Oh, and low sex drive. I guess I wasn't done. Whoa, there's more. Oh, basically you're getting effed. So if any of you have low sex drive happens to me too. I'm gonna be super real. That happens, but honestly, that's whatever. It doesn't matter. That's just me and Ponyo. Tense muscles. Got it. Tense. Getting massages help too, man. Actually, just going into a sauna. Cool. Solid. And this is how it shows up in the body, right? When all those things happen, you can rapidly gain weight around the chest, around your face, around your abdomen area. You can have high blood pressure, which is not the best at all. You can feel flushed around the face, which is like you're just super red all the time. Anxiety, most people. Depression, irritability, muscle weakness, not recovering at all, body aches, extremely low or high appetite. I'm a low appetite stress person. And basically you're just getting effed times 2. So which one happens to y'all? For me, anxiety, not recovering, and what else? Irritability. You can choose as many as you want. I don't know. I feel like all of us experience all of these. Anxiety and depression. Got it. Very important that we work through that, Erica. Very important. We'll have a couple of things. Anxiety and stress eating. Got it. High blood pressure, anxiety, depression, and irritability. Wow. Patty, we go through a lot. Depression. Got it. Anxiety, depression, lack of sleep. A lot of y'all are going through depression. And that's very real. Appreciate y'all being vulnerable. Anxiety and stress eating. Very fair. Good. Appreciate the vulnerability, everyone. This is good. Very real. Depression is very real. And that's why we pray. That's why we pray. That's why we talk to God. Cool. Cortisol. Okay, so now we're going to get into more sciencey stuff, right? I mentioned the science and holistics. So this is the science. So cortisol, I'm sure you've heard of it, but cortisol is basically the stress hormone, right? It's the hormone that regulates stress in your body. We need it, right? But you don't need too much. You need it, but you don't need too much. It is an essential hormone. It's essential until it isn't, basically, right? The issue is when you're constantly poking at it and it's constantly activated. It's constantly on edge, right? That's what leads to burnout and adrenal fatigue, which we'll talk about later. So cortisol is basically like a queen bee hormone, and it has to be respected. So responsibilities around managing stress. So cortisol helps the body handle stress by controlling how it responds to different situations, right? So I can show you like a graph later on. I can Google it. I forgot to put in this slide deck. But cortisol regulates when you wake up, for example, because cortisol naturally spikes high when you wake up. That's why people, when they wake up early, they feel like they have a lot of energy or a decent amount of energy to just go, or you feel like your heart is pounding when you wake up. That's because of high cortisol, naturally. Cortisol is also responsible for regulating metabolism. Surprise, right? It regulates how the body uses food for energy, especially during times of stress. So if you're highly stressed, how is your body going to use the food for energy? It's going to probably store it as fat. If you're regulating stress, it won't. It's also responsible for controlling your blood sugar. So cortisol plays a role in keeping blood sugar levels stable, right? If you have high stress, guess what? When you eat sugar, what's going to happen? Your blood sugar is going to spike and you're going to feel like you're going to crash. So that's why it's important to regulate cortisol, so that way you can regulate blood sugar. Also for reducing inflammation. So inflammation in the body, which is responsible for injury or infection, or even just systematic inflammation where your gut is inflamed, right? You get an upset stomach when you're highly stressed, like me, then I need to regulate my stress, right? I'm either eating shit food or I'm highly stressed. It's not that much, it's not too complicated. It's also responsible for supporting memory formation. It's crazy, right? Like your memories, your actual memories, your brain. So cortisol helps the brain form and store memories, which is important for learning and remembering things. That's why I jokingly say that I have Alzheimer's, because I am highly stressed most of the time. and I forget what I did yesterday. At the beginning of this call, me and Erica were like, "You said that last week." I'm like, "I don't remember. I I forget." So I'd say things sometimes, and I'm like, I either was speaking out of wisdom because God told me, or I was just speaking because I'm not going to remember in the next couple of days. So, and the last one is it regulates sleep, right? If you're highly stressed, you're not going to sleep. Patty's the same with forgetfulness. Yep, there you go. So now you know. So regulating sleep, it can affect your sleep patterns, helping you feel awake in the morning and sleepy at night. So that's the point of it. When your cortisol is regulated, you should feel a decent amount of energy in the morning. If you're not a morning person, your cortisol is fucked. I'm just going to be real with you. Your sleep patterns are fucked. So even though if you have insomnia, that means that our circadian rhythm, and which we'll talk about in a little bit, is out of whack. So yeah. So good to know, right? This is for you to know. Yeah. So let me continue. Oh, last one. I'm so dumb. Sorry. See, this is why I forget. I forget how much I put into the slide decks. I'm like, I think I'm done. Supporting fetal development for the moms, Erica, and for the moms that used to be moms. But supporting fetal development. In pregnant women, cortisol helps the fetus develop properly, right? So highly stress is not going to transfer over well to the fetus. It helps the fetus develop properly, regulating it, right? So that's the last one. Okay, let's go back to cortisol metabolism. So let's talk about this point because I talk about regulating metabolism, right? Going back to metabolism, we said stress, cortisol, helps regulate how the body uses food and energy during times of stress. If you're highly stressed, you're going to eat high or very low because that's how your body responds. Everyone's different. I'm a low person. I basically starve myself, unfortunately. Some people stress eat. Unfortunately, I'm the other side, which I lose a lot of muscle. It's not fun. So how cortisol affects your metabolism. High cortisol makes you crave unhealthy, high-calorie foods, causing you to eat more than you need, right? So here's the kicker. I'm going to talk about another hormone. It's called insulin. I'm sure most of you heard of it. You're basically what is responsible for blood sugar, right? So cortisol also affects insulin, a hormone that controls blood sugar. So high cortisol levels can make your body less responsive to insulin, leading to high blood sugar levels and more fat storage. Does that make sense? So high stress leads to having your body store more of the sugar that you ingest and not using that sugar for energy and using it for storage. So it basically leads to insulin resistance, right? And when you have insulin resistance, you no longer respond properly. You never respond properly to eating carbs, right? You basically store it as fat, and that's when your blood sugar spikes. And that creates another cycle. You're like, oh shit, my blood sugar is spiking. I'm stressed. And then continuing the cycle, right? What is the case for diabetics? That's a great question. So let me get back to you on that, Eric. I don't want to give you a wrong answer. I want to make sure I'm giving you the right answer on that. I would say it's just a lot more aggressive, is what I'm going to say, but I want to look more into it. So I'll message the chat after this call. Okay. Cool. So storing fat. Cortisol can tell your body to store fat, especially around your organs and in the belly area. And it does this by increasing the activity of an enzyme that helps store fat in the fat cells, right? So there's an enzyme inside your fat cell that says get activated when you have high stress. So, and it also, unfortunately, from millennia of evolution, high cortisol causes you to break down your muscle. And the reason why. In times of stress, cortisol can break down muscle for energy, right? Muscle is a very, 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 it's like gold, right? So this can lead to less muscle and slower metabolism, making it easier to gain fat. So the reason why your body uses muscle for energy, muscle is more dense, right? It's harder it takes more calories for your body to break down muscle versus more calories for your body to break down fat. So if your body is in a high stress environment, it's going to go for the thing that is going to sustain it, right? It's not trying to like example, if you're starving, are you gonna eat a bunch of veggies to keep you full, or are you gonna eat like a candy? You know what I mean? The candy is the sugary thing, the thing that doesn't really keep you full. It's just a right there, right then. It doesn't really take that much to eat, but the veggies will keep you full over time. Same thing here, right? Your body's going to use a thing that is more precious because it's not very, it doesn't have a lot of room to not go down in calories. Does that make sense? I'm probably not explaining that properly. But anyway, muscle is very precious, and your body's going to use it for calories and for energy if you're highly stressed. So let's continue. When appetite is up and activity decreases, let me talk about this first, okay? I put less neat in these parentheses, right? So neat, I should have explained this, but NEAT, okay? It's an acronym. So NEAT basically means non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So the first two words are key, non-exercise. So non-exercise activity can be me moving my hands like this while talking, me getting up to go to the bathroom, me doing laundry, me going to the fridge, things that don't include intentional exercise, right? So when appetite is up, when you're hungrier, and your activity decreases, meaning you're sitting on the couch and not doing shit, this causes a tendency to eat calories without equal expenditure, which causes unexplicable fat gain, right? Oh, I'm highly stressed, but you're sitting on the couch flipping through Netflix and you're eating snacks. I'm gaining weight. Crazy. That's nuts. Who would have thought? So the last thing, most people, like when they're highly stressed, scroll, sit on the couch, don't do anything. The last thing that most people come to mind to is like, actually, let me go regulate. Let me go get some fucking sunlight and go on a walk. Like, I'm stressed. Let me go journal. Let me go read the Bible. Like, very few people do that unless you're very, very, very aware. The very unconscious person does the thing that I just said, or the things earlier that I said. They don't like actually take action. So, for example, someone says, I want to go intuitive for a few months. That means appetite is higher than it needs to be. That means there's stress eating, right? So, for example, if you usually burn 2,000 calories per day, but cortisol is very high, meaning appetite is very high, or it can be low, and you're eating 3,000 calories and eating intuitively, then you're in 1,000 calorie surplus. Does that make sense? This is why tracking is important. So my point is, intuitive eating can definitely lead to stress eating if you're not feeding your body what it needs properly with foundation first. That's why we start tracking. That's why we build intuition. That's why we build foundation first, to get your body used to that and then go into intuitive phases down the road. So anyway, and then you'll want to diet down the road because you'll lose the weight and it doesn't work. So then you want to add more stress on top of stress eating, and it becomes a vicious cycle. So want to make sure you build foundation sustainably and we lose the weight sustainably and not go into any intuitive phases from the very beginning. So how do we break it? I'm glad you asked, Barbara. So here's a couple things that we can do, guys. We have tools. I'm giving you tools now. The first tool is awareness and mindfulness, obviously. There's a lot of awareness in the chat, which is great. So I want you to recognize the patterns of stress eating and how it affects your body. A lot of you are aware, right? But we don't want to be in toxic awareness. Toxic awareness is when you're aware and you don't do anything about it. That's what most people have, right? Not everyone in here. You're all in this chat, in this community, because you have awareness and you want to make a change. So we also want to practice mindfulness to become more aware of your emotions and how they affect your eating habits, right? Stress is technically an emotion. It's something that causes you to feel irritable or whatever that emotion is. You also want to create healthy coping mechanisms. So instead of turning to food for comfort, finding healthier ways to cope, like there's a ton. Exercise, meditation, talking to a friend, talking to God, journaling, listening to loud music, dancing, getting some sun, please, walking, socializing with boundaries, not partying. Like don't party to just numb, right? Socialize and just be out and talk to friends. Enjoy your craving with portion control. right? If I'm stressed, I'm going to go have a bite of ice cream, not the entire pint, and still fitting it into your macros. Does this make sense? So this is probably like, we can go down a rabbit hole of building a good relationship with food as well. When you're highly stressed, because that's really important. We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. I sometimes, fucking send it, but as long as we come back to the train and don't sit in shame, then we're good. Next one, balanced diet. Obviously, this one's important. Filling your diet with color, please. Fill it with fruits and veggies and lean proteins and whole grains. Right, this goes without saying, honestly. I don't really need to say this often. This can help regulate your appetite and prevent overeating instead of going to the sugary thing, okay? And then regular physical activity, right? Move your body. Go, move your body. But also, if you move your body too much, we mentioned overtraining, right? So if you're training 4 to 6 days and you're not recovering because you're highly stressed, then we need to adjust your intensity in the gym, or the number of days that you're training, or the movements that you're doing, or the sets or the reps, whatever it is. We'll adjust something to make sure that your body is holding on to less inflammation and less cortisol. So, there's a couple stress management techniques. These are my favorite. Stress reducing techniques such as yoga, deep breathing, and breath work are my favorite. That's why I bolded it. Journaling, voice memoing. There's supposed to be a space there, but voice memoing on your phone. You can just talk, or you can pray, or mindfulness meditation to lower cortisol levels and reduce stress eating, right? Drink some water, touch some grass. All these things. The healthy coping mechanisms and stress management techniques are basically the same thing, if I'm being super real. Seeking community. That's where we're here too, right? Chances are someone else has gone through what you're going through and is able to resonate and give you tips, right? So stress feels like stress because you think this only happens to me. So therefore what? People isolate. And then what? People feel shame and guilt. And then they don't seek for help. They don't come to community. They don't come to God. They don't come to anyone. They just isolate. If you want to break the cycle, ask for help, right? That's why we're here in the community. That's why you talk to me. That's why you talk to friends. That's why you talk to God. That's why, honestly, just talk to God. Yeah. And seek community and friends that help you resonate, that can help resonate with you and guide you through what you're going through. It's important. So let's see. Now let's go back into a little bit of science, okay? So adrenals. Adrenals are an organ in your body, if you did not know. So if your adrenals are crying, it's because cortisol, the hormone that we talked about, is produced in your adrenals. Adrenals, you can think about this because it's an organ in your body. It also produces adrenaline. It's pretty easy to remember, right? So if adrenals are overstimulated, you'll have adrenal fatigue. It's very real. It happens. A lot of adrenaline, a lot of cortisol. Your body can stop producing cortisol. Ash has gone through that. Her body stopped producing cortisol because she was under a lot of stress and her body said stop. You can talk to her about it if you would like. And this will lead to more body aches, unexplained weight loss or weight gain, low blood pressure, lightheadedness, loss of body hair, skin discoloration. I sound like the advertisement again. Digestive issues, mood swings, cravings, or lack of. So all these things. So if your adrenals are crying, this is also why. So at the end of the day, we have to just regulate. We don't have to regulate the adrenals. We just have to regulate the hormone that comes out of it, right? And regulate how your body responds to it. So how do we fix it? So there's a couple of things that we can do to reduce adrenal fatigue, okay? So I mentioned circadian rhythm earlier. So the circadian rhythm is how your body's sleep cycle, sleep and wake cycle, actually. So you're setting your circadian rhythm in line with a proper sleep cycle is going to do the most. If you work nights, we have to manipulate that to make sure it works still. But a proper, idealistic circadian rhythm is waking up when the sun gets up and going to sleep when the sun goes down. It's pretty simple. So a couple things that do that. Getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep. Sometimes 7 hours is not enough. If you're under high stress, getting a bare minimum is not going to help. I'm going to be super real with you. Next thing is getting some motherfucking sunlight. Get some motherfucking sunlight, please. Go out for walks, because most of you, including me, are deficient in vitamin D3. If you don't take the supplement, or if you're deficient in general, you need to go get some sunlight and go pray while you're out there. Next thing, you can pull stimulants, right, to reduce adrenal fatigue. Stimulants like caffeine. If you have caffeine right after you're waking, that's a big no. That'll destroy your adrenals. So you want to wait 60 to 90 minutes after you wake to have caffeine if you do drink caffeine. Because like I said earlier, cortisol is naturally high after waking, so you want to use that to your advantage. Wake up and think, my body's just kind of up right now. I'm going to get up anyway. I'm not going to have a slow morning today. I'm just going to let my body take me where it needs to take me. So caffeine does what? It increases cortisol in excess or with bad timing. So if you want to let your natural cortisol curve right out, so that way you can basically balance it out later, that's what's going to be best. So ideally 90 minutes or 60 minutes is fine, but don't spike your cortisol in the morning after you wake. So, and another thing you can do is reduce training. If you're training a lot and we're not really getting anywhere, then we want to reduce training. So training is a controlled stressor, like I mentioned. If you're training really hardcore and your body's not recovering, then you're ripping your muscles apart, and you're not recovering, then we're not getting anywhere. So there's more. Quality food sources. Stop eating processed sugars. Right? I'm not going to go into this because I don't need to tell you over this. Stop eating processed sugars. Or just don't have them as often, right? The dosage and the frequency matters. If you haven't incorporated fruits or veggies or whole grains or whole sources of carbs in your diet, please just kind of grow up. We need to incorporate more of that. You can have processed sugars. How do we know if we are overtraining, Erica? Okay, Erica, so we will know if we're overtraining if in your recovery question and your check-in, if you're not recovering at all. If you're waking up basically imparably sore every single day after a couple weeks, right? Like, I'm not going to lie to you, since you're pretty new to training, you have to kind of break your body down. It has to get a little weaker in the very beginning for it to get stronger down the road, right? Even to this day, I still get sore, but it doesn't impair me crazy for me to continue training, right? So this is why it's a balancing act with food, training, sleep, recovery, digestion, all that stuff. It's a balancing act with all that stuff to make sure you're recovering properly. So you'll know when you're not recovering. You'll feel burnt out and you'll feel really weak in the gym. And then Tom will kind of walk you through what you need to do. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Got it. Cool. This is a supplemental thing to help you fix your adrenals. This is what I've done. It works fantastic. You can do vitamin C and bioflavonoids. Bioflavonoids are a pretty word for basically dark chocolate. You can have 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C and to 500 milligrams of bioflavonoid. So if you can increase it every hour on the hour. So yeah, I already said that. Wow, I just did that. You can go as high as 19K on vitamin C. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can go as high as you can. Because the goal is you're going to have a runny stool for you're going to have a runny stool. It's going to suck. And you're going to run it for 3 to 4 weeks to get your hormones balanced again, right? I've done this once. It works. It's aggressive, but there's very few people that we should try. I'd rather focus on the holistic things that we can do first, because there's plenty to choose from rather than throwing supplements at the wall, So, and we also, like, the reason why, if we're going to get this aggressive, we want to get a hormone panel and blood work done to make sure to see if you're super high in vitamin C. Otherwise, we want to start off with 1 or 2K of vitamin C. So anyway, it's something that we want to use blood work for. So there's an Amazon link if you want it, but that's just, yeah. And the last one is socials. This goes without saying. Your adrenals will burn out if you're on socials all fucking day. So you have to pull or remove the phone to create a better boundary with it. Otherwise, this will create a lot of cheap dopamine, and then procrastination, like we mentioned earlier. You're going to be the procrastinator in the episode of Acute. And then you go into adrenal fatigue as a byproduct. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of routes that stress uncovers itself. So, oh, there's a couple more. This is my favorite, actually. This is what I'm doing right now. The anti-inflammatory diet. So if you're highly stressed in your gut and you have upset stomach, you want to lower your dairies, your glutens, and your acidic foods. Right? Anything acidic like tomato and salsa and blah, 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 lemons, etc. Another thing is you can incorporate more of a Mediterranean style lunch, dinner to help you heal your gut and reduce inflammation. All this color. That's what most of your meals look like. If your meals look like a shade of white or brown or beige, like chicken and rice all the time, you're doing it very wrong. You're feeding your gut shit, right? You need to have color in your diet. So incorporate more vegetarian style with less meat, and it may help reset your gut. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm technically vegetarian, so I've been no meat for basically a month and a couple weeks. So yeah, so it's very, very fun. If you guys want to ask me questions, you can, but it's a short process. It's more for spiritual reasons. Anyway, and obviously more fruits and nuts and veggies and healthy fats like eggs and avocado and beef. And again, avoid processed sugars. And the last one is remove yourself from toxic environments. So toxic relationships and friendships and people and coworkers, remove yourself or create better boundaries, right? If you're choosing to be there and you're choosing to engage, that's a choice. You don't have to be there. You don't have to say anything. So that's it. And if cortisol is still high, training needs to be pulled all the way back. We'll train in 1-2 days and go light loads with controlled eccentrics. Stimulants need to be pulled back. Like if we're doing all of this and you're doing regulation consistently, you're journaling, breath work, all this stuff, we pull everything back. Caffeine, training, I'll help you with binaural beats, help you with better REM sleep and stuff like that. This is a supplement overview. We don't really need to go into this. Ashwagandha. You can. Fuck it. The vitamin C bioflavonoid mix, you guys can take a screenshot if you want. But I would not, like I said, don't do that without having guidance through it. I will guide you through it if you really need to, but we need to make sure we're doing everything else first. Ashwagandha, Baracopa extract, lion's mane, and rhodiola are all great for reducing stress in your body. Fish oil is a beautiful supplement to help you reduce systematic inflammation. Pre and probiotics from food, not the actual supplements. I would say get the food. Maca powder, water, dark chocolate, the flavonoids. So, and the heavy hitters, right? The holistic stuff, the being. So there's a couple of things. You want a prayer, meditation, breath work, binaural beats, and journaling, doing an activity that brings you focus and awareness of the present. For me, that'd be like drawing or walking my dog or listening to an audiobook or praying, listening to music, lifting heavy. The doing would be getting some freaking sun, like I've mentioned 20 times, to help you reset your circadian rhythm. You want to walk pretty often, 8 to 10K steps, or maybe going to 3 to 4K steps, because it just really depends on how long you've been at a very high step count. Sometimes too many steps can have a lot of inflammation. Removing yourself from stressful environments, get some freaking sleep. And we're going to go into fitness related. So less training and more controlled weight. Going to RPE 5 to 6. I'm sure we've talked about that. If you don't know what RPE is, talk to me and I'll let you know. And nutrition, whole food, and add some motherfucking color. Add some color, please, and less caffeine. And then portion control and awareness of your self-sabotaging habits with nutrition. And I think that's it, guys. Yep, my button doesn't work anymore. Wow, I made it right on time. That's crazy. That was a really long presentation. Cool. I heard ashwagandha, you have to cycle on it. Yes, very true. Yes, you do have to cycle on it, Jeff. You can cycle on it. I used to take it. I would cycle every 12 weeks. Right, stay on it for 12 weeks, and then you cycle off of it for like a month, and then from there, you can do another 12 weeks if you want. Cool, guys. Any questions? Drop them in the chat. We can have a little Q&A before we go. Any questions? Eric, I'm gonna get back on your diabetes question with cortisol. Thoughts on mushroom coffee? Mushroom coffee is fantastic, dude. Less irritable than caffeine for sure. Nootropics are good. Zach, you have a question?
How long until you have this uploaded?
Oh, you want me to, yeah, upload this? Good question. I need to edit it, and then I will upload it. I would say like a week, maybe less. I'm gonna shoot for the weekend if I can. I usually like to film a little intro for the video and then edit it, and then YouTube is its own animal.
Right.
Matcha's fantastic, Erica. Wait, go ahead, Zach. Sorry.
You say it's on. You put it on YouTube or?
Yeah, it will be in the YouTube playlist on Discord. You know how to get there?
No, I don't. But I'm about to find out.
For the Discord. Yeah, I'll show you guys. So Discord, and then under support, where it has my calendar, Ash's calendar, the group call playlist. You see all that?
Yeah, I see it.
Group call playlist. The playlist is right here. It should take you to the YouTube. This is all our videos. There's a lot of videos, guys. You guys can watch all these. These are all the group calls. Not all of them. I would say 80% of them, but yeah. They're all really good, I think. I'm gonna be biased though. I'm pretty biased. Matcha is great, Erica. I have matcha every day.
Matcha? Did we say matcha?
Yeah, matcha is the best. Oh, you're a matcha whore right now too, Zach. Yeah, matcha is the best.
Yeah, I prefer matcha over coffee all the time.
Cool. Yeah, matcha is really good for your gut. Yeah, it's a lot more of a clean energy. It just helps with a lot more of the less cortisol spiking than compared to regular coffee. Where do you find matcha? Amazon, brother. Amazon. I can send you a link.
Or if you're lazy like me, I get it at a coffee shop.
And paid $7 for matcha is nuts.
I only paid $5.98 for a large.
That's crazy. But you buy like 2 a day, brother.
Yeah, just 2. Yeah.
Exactly.
Just 2. Yeah. Okay, I drank 1 or 2.
Yeah. I just buy like the $20, $25 thing on Amazon. It lasts me like a month. Great.
It's all on my shopping cart. I just gotta buy it.
Yeah. It's called I'll put it in the chat. Fujito matcha. Or you can just find your favorite matcha on Amazon. Buck said, I think I'm hitting everything right for now, walking the dog, supplements, eating more fruit in the last couple months than the last few years. That's beautiful, brother. Let's go. What a win. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. As long as you can sustain those things, dude, that's all that matters. Do the coffee shops then have mushroom coffee? Some of them do, not all of them do, Jeff. Rise is a pretty good brand, I would say, for mushroom coffee. If you would like. There's a lot. There's a lot out there. Good questions, guys. Any other questions about reducing, just not reducing stress, but managing it? Breath work would probably be my favorite, if I'm being real, to help you regulate stress. Who have I assigned breath work to so far?
I got it.
Are you doing it consistently, Zach?
I haven't even started it. But
Oh God!
I have all the videos.
Go try it
wasn't
after this call. Go try it after this call.
Tom has me doing it.
Nice.
Now I just need him
Good.
to finally send me my meal plan that he said he's gonna be sending me for like 3 days, but we'll get there.
We'll get
I
there.
have my old one, I guess.
I'll bug him about it. Christina, praying helps me a lot. Yes, amen to that. Beautiful. Praying does help a lot. Binaural beats. You spelled binaural wrong, but I understand what you mean. Yeah, I've done the binaural beats too. Helps a little bit. Hi, baby. Who's that? Who's that, Erica?
It's Evelyn.
Evelyn. Hi,
Yeah,
Evelyn.
the little gremlins over there on the couch.
Hi, Evelyn. She just wants to know how to mitigate stress. Binaural beats are basically like a, how to explain this? They're systematic beats. They like happen like woo 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 woo. They happen at a frequency that help you get better REM sleep. So sometimes people play them on a speaker next to their bed, and it just helps them put them into a meditative state, so that way they fall asleep faster and they stay asleep. Oh, okay. You use them every night. There you go. Cool. Even better. Even better, Andy. Cool, guys. Yeah, I'll put this up as soon as I can. If you guys have any questions in the meantime, let me know. I'll do some more research on the diabetic question, Erica. And yeah. So the main question was cortisol, like how it affects, or insulin and cortisol, how it affects.
Yeah, a type 1 diabetic, not type 2.
Right. Okay. I'll remember.
Okay.
Got it. I might not remember because I'm highly stressed. I'm just kidding. Cool, guys. If anyone has any questions, let me know in the chat. I know we're a little over, so I'll let y'all go. So have a great night. I see y'all later. Get some sleep, eat some dinner, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a great day, guys.
Yes. Night.
Night.